if the information environment
Who
on
do
the
you think has
whole
a
is quite...
who do you think has a bigger influence on the information environment, JD Vance or Hassan Piker?
I mean, obviously JD Vance,
Okay.
but Hassan
Who do you
Piker
think
still
has
has a
more of an
lot. He
influence
does.
on the
Hassan does
information
have a huge,
environment? Donald Trump or
You know what's fucking sucks? What fucking sucks to me is that it's very clear to me that he recognizes the reality of the situation, right? Like he recognizes that JD Vance and Donald Trump have a way bigger like media footprint, right? And like whatever they do, like they breathe the wrong way and the news will be on them, right? But the thing is if you recognize that, why don't you agree? Right? Then the real question becomes, if you recognize the reality, we're living in the same reality. Okay, thank God. We are both acknowledging the facts, which is good, right? So we don't have to argue on the descriptive reality. Why don't you agree with my prescription? Right? It like don't you agree that maybe JD Vance and Donald Trump should be the ones who calm the temperature down? Right? Why are you focusing so much on Hassan to do that? What? Huh? That makes no sense. Why? Well, I mean, this is just more evidence that he's maybe grifting, right? Because if you have the same descriptive reality and you're not willing to go to the same prescription, and all of your disagreements are philosophical but not rooted in reality, like in terms of the facts, the statistics of how great immigrants are, well, I'm afraid that I must dub thee a grifter of the highest order, okay?
Destiny?
Of course, Trump. But I was going to quickly say about Hassan. I would say that Hassan is probably in the top 10 information purveyors on the American left at this point, to the degree that he's probably as famous as AOC.
The issue that I would kind of say is the thing that I find incoherent, right? If like I think I'm gathering some of your principles, right? And I think that they are a lot of them are like philosophically conservative, which is fine. I actually don't care about that. What's confusing to me is that it feels like there's a lot more heat when you are talking about Zoran Mamdani or the leftist mocking Kirk than, for example, when you acknowledge that Matt Walsh was unironic.
Dude, okay, I'm sorry. How could you say that Drew has principles? It's like, okay, I'm gonna bring back this analogy, okay? You cannot delete the retarded horse to the water because retarded horse do not recognize the water. Okay, you must bring the water to the retarded horse, or the retarded horse will die of the thirst. You cannot bring the retarded horse to the water. All right, there you go. All right, you can't lead Drew to the water. Okay, he's retarded. Okay,
ironically calling for civil war.
And that's bad. I do think that's horrific.
No. That's what I'm saying. Is it'll be like, yeah, of course that's bad. The issue is that when I go through the timeline of your Twitter, I see almost exclusively around the Kirk stuff posts about leftists having poor responses to Kirk, which is fair enough.
I can explain that.
I made plenty of posts about leftist reactions to it as well. I thought it was a great moment for us to go, maybe these people don't get to be in our town square. They can like support us for certain rallies and stuff, but they're not in the town square. Like they're not. They haven't earned their way in. They don't have like the basic principle of like human life. But you don't have this. But then I saw Matt Walsh's post and I was like, and neither does this motherfucker. I'm sorry, championing on civil war is in my mind as bad, if not worse, than celebrating the assassination. How many more people die in civil war? What a blatant, complete disregard for the sanctity of your country and for the welfare of your neighbors, right? Than calling for civil war. But my issue is that if you're the principled conservative who would be like, for example, against people celebrating political violence, which it seems like that is a principle that you have, the thing that doesn't make sense to me is the asymmetry of the emotional size of reaction to the Kirk thing versus the Walsh thing.
Look, you're right that there's an asymmetry in my emotional reaction, and I'll try to explain that. I think it's probably because, Erudite, that I felt that I strongly identified as a leftist, basically, from the age of 15. So essentially, from the age of 15, my first introduction to politics when I was 15 years old was Bernie Sanders' campaign in 2015. I was literally 15 years old. I spent every day in class watching his campaign. I'd sit at the back of the class with my mates.
So you went from one dumbass to another dumbass. Boom. Just kidding.
To Australia, and we wouldn't even pay attention in class. We'd just be following Bernie Sanders' campaign. That was my first introduction to politics. So I think it's probably my sense of personal betrayal, the fact that I identified so strongly for so many years as a leftist and as a progressive and stuff like that, and just the sense.
Yeah, so has everybody else. Like, why the fuck are we pretending? Like, why the fuck are we pretending as if like this is some kind of like only Drew Pavlo thing?
of betrayal that I felt that so many friends that I had were then celebrating the murder. And it was that feeling that I had on October 7 as well, because it's multiple things that have sort of contributed to this for me. It was the same thing on October 7 where it was like all these people that I had been friends with for years, and I had fully identified as a leftist for years and stuff like that. And like I saw them, you know, celebrating on their stories, going, this is what decolonization looks like. We want to decolonize Australia next. And it was just that sense of personal betrayal. So you're right that I do have an emotional symmetry, and you're probably right. Like that is a wrong thing. It's wrong. I should be stronger in calling out violence from the far right people too. I fully agree with that. I think it's probably just a sense, erudite, that I do feel this strong sense of sort of personal betrayal, because, you know, I felt strongly identified for a long, long time. Basically 10 years. Like, I'm 26 years old, right? So half my life I was a leftist. Basically from the moment that I was sort of like politically self-conscious, from the age of like 15 onwards, I identified as a leftist. I was like a Bernie Sanders fan, all this stuff. And so I think it's just that sense of sort of really strong emotional betrayal that I feel, that people that were on my side and people I thought as my friends, and it's also people in my personal life, like people who were my best friends who then went out and did this stuff. So it's probably why.
I think that's very human, right? Like, I even had to catch myself a little bit ago around the Kirk stuff as well, where I felt like really incensed. And I think it was more directed at the left than the right. And I had this like little reckoning moment where I was like, hold the fuck on. Like, if I just step away and I'm not like feeling emotionally attached to the left, I'm just looking at these things. Inciting civil war and calling half of the country evil that we should garter up against, that's like, the only time I've heard anything similar to that is when Vosh was encouraging his trans viewers to arm up and practice like with weaponry, right?
I didn't know that he did that. That's pretty retarded. I didn't know he did that.
It's not just retarded. It's dangerous, right? It's really dangerous.
When did he do that out of interest?
Years ago. I don't know, like 2 or 3 years ago. Matt Walsh was doing this like to a much larger audience.
Oh, fuck. At the rate we're going? Like, maybe back then I would call Vosh crazy, but I mean, you know.
Audience. And it was about civil war. He was calling 50% of the American populace evil. And it wasn't even just Matt Walsh. There was multiple
at the rate we're
Even
going,
Miller, who was part of the administration.
At the rate we're
Miller,
going?
you have Trump, who refuses to denounce. When Fox and Friends rolled out the carpet to be like, yeah, but like, we should announce like all the right
Elon
calls
Musk,
for civil war.
Who's been retweeting you, Mr. Drew Pavlo, right? Has said something like the left is all coming to kill you. I believe that's what he said.
Look, can I say one thing here, right?
Oh, let Erdai finish.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I know I'm taking a while.
Okay.
Just to finish my thought here. I understand the sentiment of being disgusted with the left and being more let down by your in-group. I remember when I left Christian fundamentalism. It's funny, I'm still a Christian. But in the process of working that out, I didn't go to church for years. And like, I couldn't be around Christians without trying to rage bait them by saying things like, well, you know, like Paul's thorn was that he was gay. I was just like always trying to aggress Christians to react negatively to me because I was so angry at them. And so like, there's this human element where I understand that. The problem is that
I think that's probably how I feel now, with the left.
But you have a platform. And the difference is that I have a platform. So when I started going, I think I'm shitting on the left too much right now in a situation where the right is literally doing objectively way worse things right now, this is a problem. And I'm not saying you have to be on my team, right? What I'm saying is, I think principles are things earned. And principles are not things that you just get to espouse when it feels good and your enemy's violating it. Principles are the thing that we have to cling to when it is not easy, right? Principles are things you habituate into you by forgiving your enemy because you believe forgiveness is the right choice, not because it feels good and not because it's enjoyable, right? If you believe that political violence is bad, even when the side that you're not mad at is doing it, the principle has to come forth first and foremost, or we're lost. And that's the thing that I'm getting confused by, is that people who I see say, I have these principles, it feels like they don't.
Okay, look, those are actually good points, and I understand what you're saying here. Look, it's difficult. The sort of same dynamic that you described, how when you left Christian fundamentalism for years, you felt a really strong sense of anger at those types of people and wanted to troll them. Look, I have a genuine, deep sense of a feeling of betrayal and anger towards the left right now. And look, it's not towards people like you, because you guys are pretty moderate and normal, and you've been respectful to me talking and everything. I'm talking more about people like, I don't know, even Destiny, for example, because I was like a fan of Destiny, and he was fully joking about the murder of Charlie Kirk and stuff like that. So it's like, I feel like a pretty strong sense of anger at all that. And, you know, part of this as well is...
You might be surprised to see both me and Erudite's stance on his making fun of these.
Oh my
these
God,
too, right?
please
I don't know if you saw it.
I'm sure you're pretty
he'd probably grant them. The issue is it wouldn't change my political principles. That's what gets confusing.
I get you. I think the problem is, Erudite, is that like, it's that personality shift that I described earlier, where it's like, I genuinely think it's a personality shift where it's like 10 years ago, or even 2-3 years ago, if you asked me, how do we change the world? How do we improve the world? I would have given you like a list of like 15 public policy points, and I would have thought, if we just get a majority and both houses of Congress pass these laws, everything's going to be so much better, blah, blah, blah. And same with Australia, blah, blah. But I think it's like this personality shift where it's like, for me, now the thing that I am so worried about is that how do you go forward, right? When you see so many friends of yours, so many people that you know in real life celebrating this type of murder. And here's the thing, like my parents are conservative. Even when I was like sort of more on the left, like I would always fight with my parents because my parents were always conservative. It's probably like that. I know Destiny's mum is like a MAGA guy. Like my mum was basically sort of like a conservative MAGA type. And I used to always have these massive fights with her in debate, but I still love her because she's my mum. Like you still love your family members, even if you have different political views. And like she was somebody who liked Charlie Kirk, and not that she agreed with him on everything. If you asked her opinion on American gun laws, she would say that they're probably crazy compared to Australian gun laws and stuff like that. But she just probably liked his general conservative attitude because she is a conservative. And then I see these people basically like all celebrating his murder. And for me, the understanding that I have is it is actually a little bit. I disagree with and I condemn the exact language that Matt Walsh used, but that's that deep feeling that these guys felt that all these people celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder would also equally want to kill them. That's how I feel too. I look at it and I'm like, okay, if you're celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk, you probably want to kill me too, and you probably want to kill my family. And so it's really hard to then say, let's tone down the temperature.
Do you think that Destiny believes that? I guess would be my question. Like, do you think Destiny is like actually celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk? I can see clearly what's happening, okay? Drew Pavlo is falling into the reality that conservatives have constructed for him, okay? He's not actually seeing reality for what it actually is. He's interpreting a faux pas version of reality. It's like you're trying to look at a mixture of red and green when you're only wearing red glasses, okay? You're wearing red glasses, so all you see is green, okay? All right. Okay, that sounds... that's a correct analogy, I'll say, yeah.
That is genuinely how I feel. I have to be honest, that's how I feel. That's how I felt when I saw it.
I grant you that you feel that way, right? And like, I think the feeling of disgust, which I felt, I remember watching the guy.
Why talk about feelings at all? Just talk about the numbers already. What the fuck? Like, when are the numbers kicking in? What the Hello?
I like toning, well, you shot Charlie in the neck. I thought that was really horrifying, and I made an entire video about it, right? A short about it. The issue is that, like, our feelings don't always lead us to like the why. And I'm not like an emotion naysayer. Like I teach DBT. I'm all about like combining logic and feelings, right? And so the feeling of like aversion, I think, is something that is important here, of going, there has to be a line about human dignity that I think is true. The issue is that escalating it to the assumption of, and these people would want to kill me and my mom. It's like, these people.
I know you guys don't.
No. I'm talking about these people. I'm talking about the people screaming, "We shot Charlie on the neck." It's disgusting.
I think those guys.
And there's a problem that we've enabled that behavior.
Yeah.
Those guys can't live without DoorDash. Those people are stressed because they have a paper due. I understand that it is despicable. And it is a problem that the left has, that we have enabled our young people, that they feel comfortable saying that to some degree, although we're not fully accountable for all of the extremism. Because if you go to the...
By the way, do you know who can't live without DoorDash? Streamers. In particular, okay? It's not like we're not just talking about like streamers, like very specifically streamers cannot live without DoorDash. Me personally, okay? So yeah, I mean, I wonder if this is projection, but whatever.
Right, and you look at what the young right-wing people are saying. They're saying things like, when I made that very viral post about the De Carlos Jr. killer, and I said the right has no solutions for this, aka integrated care for mental illness.
Oh my god, I
got to on that, by the way.
Sure, that's fine.
Okay, we'll go into that.
I got more death threats than I think I've ever gotten in my life. And on top of that, all of the quote retweets were encouraging the lynching of that man. Right? They wanted to kill him, and they openly would say it would be better if he was killed before he ever did anything. Just kill crazy black people. Some people would just say, just murder black people. Now the issue is, if I look at that, especially from a black person, it would be reasonable for you to go, oh my God, these people want to kill me. They're saying it. The issue that I would caution at, as far as political decision-making, if you're informed in politics, would go, they're probably fat losers who've never left their basement.
Just a drink.
It is
a martini, shaken, not stirred.
DoorDash tip monies.
Wait, thank you so much for the $10. I appreciate that. Thank you for your continued support. You're one of my... I think you're one of my whalers right now, I do believe. You're a whale. Okay, not in the sense that you're fat, but you know what I mean.
Horrifying that we have enabled on the right the dehumanization of people of color. It is disgusting that the right, especially the new right that is starting to pop off, is gross. It's very Groyper driven.
Yeah.
And also we have to hold in that space of going, most of them are bots. And the ones that aren't bots are fat losers who will never leave their basement and aren't that serious. But also, they are feeling enabled to say that, which says something about the culture and the problem with radicalization. But we have to do all of these weighings when we're thinking about this.
Okay, just a housekeeping thing, just real quick. Grassroots Hegemon, thank you for the $100, but you can't buy mod in my community. Yeah, you just can't.
You can in mine.
Fair enough. You know, don't try to do that. Like, just not something we do. But I do appreciate the donation. Okay, that's it. Sorry about that. I just had to. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. Look, you've made some really good points here, and I actually do enjoy talking to you, Erudite, because maybe you're employing the psychological.
More shall enter the fray.
Luigi TT, thank you so much. Welcome to Tier 1. I appreciate that. Yeah, thanks for all the support.
Cognitive behavioral therapy type stuff. I appreciate that.
I'm watching it, actually.
I get your point that the majority of people who do this stuff are just LARPing and they're not actually a risk to anybody. I do think it is a pretty clarifying thing, though, when you see somebody look, it's at this point, right, where I know that obviously I've annoyed a lot of people on Twitter for years. I'm nobody special. I'm not Charlie Kirk, of course, but it's pretty obvious that if I were to die in an accident tomorrow, there'd be so many people I know who would celebrate. 100%. I get 50 death threats a day on average. So I think it is pretty clarifying when it's like you see people celebrating these types of deaths. I know your point is that a lot of them are not capable of acting it out, but I still think that these people, by creating a general permission environment, are part of the problem, because it only takes. If there's 100 people cheering it on, it only takes one of them to then think, okay, my community endorses this. So I think obviously the people who are actually capable of the violence are a much smaller minority. I think it is a big problem that there's a permission structure that's created by massive amounts of people. And I think it is a clarifying thing where it's like, if you see people celebrating these types
I had to get out of X chat. It was dead. Aw, it's okay.
of deaths, I do genuinely think that they would celebrate if I was to be killed. So that's part of it. I do want to say as well, with regards to the Erna thing, my stance, I obviously fully disavow all the people who were disgusting to you and said all this horrible stuff. I fully disagree with that. I do genuinely think the guy who did that deserves a death penalty. And I do think in general, you just need to be overall much harsher on crime. I think.
Masaki, thanks so much for the 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. That's my sleeping buddy. Whoa. You know, you know what would be amazing and epic? You know what would be epic? I think what would be epic is if Trump would pardon... If Trump would pardon Tyler Robinson, okay? Why? Because it would lower the temperature of the nation, okay? We should advocate for pardoning Tyler Robinson, okay? If we're pardoning the J6ers, then I would say, yeah, I think we should. I think we should pardon Tyler Robinson, okay? Yeah.
Just the past couple of years, it's pretty obvious that in America, a lot of insane homeless people were allowed to just basically roam the streets and just carry out terrible crimes. My mum was in America. My brother lives in New York City, and my mum went to visit him in October last year, and she was on Wall Street, which is obviously like a very touristy area. And like a random homeless guy like jumped out and started jacking off in front of her.
A martini, shaken, not stirred.
W at Misaki.
Yo, Bui, thank you so much for $10. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Oh yeah, guys, if you guys have not joined my Discord server yet, you can join my Discord, please. We have such a ridiculously active community. It is crazy, okay? Discord.gg/Foodshops. All we do is fight every day, every hour, every minute someone is fighting, okay? We're also wholesome, all right? So join us.
On Wall Street, and it's my own mum. So,
I will say, not to be like insensitive, I love hearing like middle class people talk about their homeless stories, because like my husband like grew up in a homeless shelter. I worked and lived in
yes, like animals in a zoo,
Macaulay, which is like the roughest area in Edmonton. And Edmonton is one of the largest homeless populations in Canada because we have such good resources. So they all move to Edmonton to access all that stuff. So I get it. I don't need to get into the Erna stuff. I would basically say prison has never successfully made somebody not schizophrenic, but
no, that's true. I mean,
that's true.
Look, like the guy who killed the guy who killed Erna, At that point, he's obviously killed somebody. He can never be allowed on the street again. And honestly, I think he doesn't deserve
Was
to
he
live
about
after
to say
murdered somebody in such a brutal way.
Anarchist?
That's an overall my stance regarding the crazy homeless people roaming the streets committing crimes. I would prefer these people go into mental health care situations rather than all be imprisoned, especially if they have not yet committed crimes.
So
fair enough. But what I would do is if I was somehow God King of the world, I would somehow create a situation where people who are mentally ill and roaming the streets who have not yet committed heinous crimes, they can be put into treatment. The people who do commit heinous crimes, I think there needs to be very harsh penalties for it. And frankly, I do think that the guy who murdered Erna deserves the death penalty because it was such a horrific crime. And I just think it was just so evil what he did. I think it needs to have the ultimate punishment. That's my personal sense. Again, that's probably one way that I've become more conservative, having been the victim of crime. It's very frustrating to me when people broke into my car, stole my stuff. I had all these leftists basically cheering on the line, ha ha ha.
This is the worst Australian representation of anything ever. Oh, the crime. Oh, I'm a victim of crime. What crime? Like, what is he talking about?
Drew deserved it, or saying stuff like, oh, well, you don't know, maybe the person who stole your wallet and stole this stuff really needed it more than you. For me, it wasn't even the money. Like I had sentimental like stuff from departed family members who died. I had sentimental cards in my wallet that I will never get back because some crazy crackhead decided to take not just my cards off my card, but just grab my wallet, dump it in a bin somewhere, take the cards, spend it on buying booze. If they had some honor, if they were a thief with honor, they would have just taken the cards, but instead they take even my sentimental heirlooms. And they care so little for, you know, beautiful things. And some people just, it's like that quote where it's like, they will.
You know what? I would take that from you too, okay? I don't think you deserve anything, all right? Jesus Christ. All you do is harm and destruction to the world. Okay? Yeah, I would take it too. What the fuck?
We'll just make a bonfire of everything you love. Like, unfortunately, I'm at a point where I'm very...
It's tough for me to empathize with this one, being like a pretty typical thing when I would like walk out of my house when I was living in Macaulay was like somebody injecting their groin like in front of my door. I think my car was broken into like 8 or 9 times. So like this isn't a dismissal of the crimes. Like we need more.
I hope that thief is eating well, okay? I hope that thief is eating well, all right? Somewhere out there, okay, I'm thinking of you, all right? The person who robbed Drew, okay? Person who robbed Drew, know that I'll be thinking of you, okay? All right?
Police presence and these sorts of things. This has never, ever changed my approach to, like, policy, because I want efficacious policy, right? Like, killing people for these things doesn't make them suddenly not have done the crime. In fact, if you kill crazy people for doing things while they're crazy, all it does is it makes you feel better, right? And it's just like...
But I think punishment is an important part of deterring crime. I think
it is.
Like my stance is
capital punishment of a crazy schizophrenic is not deterring anything, and deterrence doesn't seem to be very effective on schizophrenia. Right?
I think once you commit a crime that heinous, that you basically forfeit your right to life. That's how I see it. I think it's actually a moral thing. It's like you don't morally deserve to live after you do that.
Okay,
it's just too expensive on the system.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to. I don't know if we want to turn this into a death penalty debate.
Yeah,
I am surprised. Maybe she'll bring this up later, but I'm surprised that Nasser Erda is not bringing up statistics as well on the death penalty. Because isn't it the case as well that, like, the statistics don't even pan out in favor for the death penalty? Like, isn't that the case? That, like, not even the statistics support the death penalty? Yeah.
Right, tonight. I want
just to loop
back. Let's go to it. Yeah, let's go back to
culture structures, because you said something that I think was really good here, going back to the thing, which was talking about like these structures that exist within a culture that make people feel okay to say such things is something that we need to call into question. And I would say absolutely. The issue that I have with anyone principled about this is saying there isn't a world where we're saying this, and we can be critical of the left for the media culture that we have enabled, the progressive culture that we have enabled. I think we can be critical. I think like we just like ruined movies for a while. That's not good. Like that's terrible. We've like made a bunch of college kids think that they're fucking Antifa super soldiers, even though they've like probably never punched somebody before, let alone like held a gun or know how to clean it, right? Probably not good that these like privileged little white kids think that they're like Antifa super soldiers. But on the other side, we have a like at a top-down level, a refusal to disengage from violence, a refusal to denounce violence, and a continual vilification of an entire other side. And so when we're talking about like this principle,
Drew is so liberal that he loves the death penalty, kill me. No, he's so liberal that he wants to liberate people from their lives. Oh my god. He's so liberal that he wants to liberate society of homeless people. You don't understand. It is absolutism, liberalism, okay? I just invented it, okay? It's his version of God, this is what happens when everybody describes himself as like some other version of liberal, other than like generally being a liberal. They just like they just say some crazy shit like, "Oh, I'm a classical liberal." You don't understand. I'm a classical liberal. Oh my lord.
Can happily levy these criticisms on the media culture of like Hassan, who is celebratory of violence against people, and then you watched him watch the Charlie Kirk shooting, and you went, "This motherfucker doesn't even know what violence is. He has no idea. He has no idea."
Yeah,
as somebody who's seen the Israel video, right, and who's seen like really awful stuff on the internet, and has exposed it in awful stuff. The Charlie Kirk murder was really brutal. It also, like, I didn't lose sleep over the footage of it because I've seen violence before. I understand how evil people can get. I really do. Which is why I hate when people call me naive, because almost everyone who calls me naive is naive. But the thing that I think is important here is when violence was happening and the left was in power, while the media, I think, does have a lot of problems, our chief commander from the left denounced it, reached out. Trump even said that after his assassination, he felt bad ragging on Biden and Kamala so hard because they were so good to him about the assassination.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
And what we have in the culture of the right now, which, just to be clear, they're just starting to have cultural power. They're just at the beginning of it. The left got really bad, but it took to this point, and our leaders still didn't cross that line. They're just starting to have power, and their leaders are already over the line of intolerable. And we have to, if we care about this principle, we have to hold the same energy. The culture media space is concerning, but it is not nearly as efficacious in that 30-day turning the needle of violence as the chief commander. Just not.
Yeah, just to piggyback on that, and then I'll let you respond.
Too much bashing the Democrats at times, okay? But
should have, if you are mad or upset or think what Destiny said about the Charlie Kirk or the Trump assassination shooting is bad or disgusting or immoral or whatever, you need to have that same energy when Elon Musk or JD Vance or the White House official account or Benny Johnson makes videos of him punching women in the face, right? Like dressed up as Batman. You need to have that same energy.
What?
And one of the things that I have an issue with is I don't see that same energy. Does that make sense?
Look. These are good points. I think I did explain earlier that probably part of it is a human type response.
By the way, this like soft-handed approach to approaching people like Drew Pavlo has not worked and will never work. Okay? The only way you can prevent more people like Drew Pavlo from existing is to completely shame him in front of this audience, okay? Is to go full hard debate bro mode on him, okay? It is the only way. Trust me, what Erudite and Wick is doing has been done for years, okay? Years. And what has it panned out? Where are we now? Where exactly are we now? Well, where are we now is here. And we know where here is. It's right here on the map of we are so fucking cooked, okay?
On my end, where it's like,
no, I get that.
The emotional symmetry is
yeah.
probably, look, it probably is mostly coming from the fact that I do feel a sense of personal betrayal from the people that I sided with for so long.
No, but just
like this kid's gloves treatment of Drew Pavlo is unacceptable to me, okay? This guy deserves to be lambasted, obliviated to the highest degree. He must be destroyed. He must have his mind raped, okay? For him to understand the true cost that freedom isn't actually free. It's paid for by the blood of patriots, okay? Patriots who practice the First Amendment to its very end.
Just real quick. No, I get what you're saying there. But your emotional reaction, while understandable, does not make it okay. Like, I understand the emotional reaction someone gets when, like, they get really, really angry. That's a real emotion they feel. That's a valid emotion they feel. But I can still judge them for how they act on that. That doesn't make your actions.
So I'm going to go into this, right?
Yeah, please go ahead.
And
Sorry.
This links back into quite a few of my points. I was asking if before I sent you a link, Wick. Maybe you can put it on your screen.
Yeah, give me a second. Which one did you send?
Yeah. It was in our Discord chat, and it was my commentary about it was my commentary on the Bad Bunny thing, and it looks like I get that you guys are gonna see it and you're gonna think like, what the hell does this have to do with anything?
If you want to look at it. Is this it?
How do I
just hit?
You can just share your screen.
Well, I'm sharing it right now. Yeah, this is what he sent me.
Discord.
Yeah, it's on the Discord thing.
If you
see it?
Okay.
Is it up?
Yeah.
Twitter chat is a real open air prison. I feel bad for Big Chungus because this guy is like this guy is single-handedly lifting up Twitter chat using his shoulders and his hands. Okay, this guy's the one person who's living. Don't worry, I'm sure that was like once I begin like streaming on Twitter more, I'm sure that there's gonna be more people like talking to Big Chungus. Okay, I'm sorry, Big Chungus. Okay, I love you. All right, I love you, Big Chungus.
Can you
Hang
guys
on,
not see it? It should be in the
Are you
Discord.
gonna?
I was just gonna just share your screen and hear.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see. Yeah,
for
okay,
my
I
viewers
see it
to
now.
see too.
This guy's like
Okay, I can see it
Atlas
now.
lifting
So
up the sky.
this is my intellectual sort of understanding of why I think the MAGA movement is kind of like leans pretty heavily into this authoritarian stuff, and they see things in such a desperate and existential sense. So, and it links back as well to my thoughts on changing demographics and stuff like that. So, and I know you're going to think like, what the fuck does SNL and Bad Bunny and Hispanic Super Bowl show have to do with Trump endorsing violence? Of course, I understand. I'm trying to make a broader philosophical point here. So, were you guys familiar with that commentary from the 2016 election where one of the top Trump supporters wrote something like, this is the Flight 93 election. And essentially they basically were saying, unless we win now, it's over for us forever. It's like Flight 93, unless we storm the cabin right now, the terrorists are going to fly us into the building. I think the reason why there is this massive sort of the way they see politics is in such existential terms, there's like this massive feeling of threat on the right. And I think the reason why they lean into this sort of existentialist language, they talk about conflict in such existentialist, harsh tones. They are, I think in certain respects, you have cited good examples where they have incited violence, and I think that's really bad. I think it is coming from this place where they feel this desperate existential threat to the country. And I think a big...
Wait, and they're delusional, right? Right, Drew? True, friend, buddy. And they're delusional, right? Right, Drew? Right? Right, Drew? Right? Buddy? Friendo? Drew? And they're delusional, right?
Part of it
right?
is the fact that over the past 5 to 10 years in America, but it has been happening for some decades now, there has been mass demographic change as a result of mass migration and mass illegal migration. And unfortunately, from about 2000 to about 2016, it was quite mainstream in democratic media culture on the part of a lot of democratic strategists and also politicians to engage in sort of demographic triumphalism, where they essentially would say, like,
oh my god, okay, all right, I shouldn't have placed any kind of hope in him. Holy shit.
Like, well, because of the changing demographics in American society, because white people are on track to become a minority based on mass migration trends,
therefore... Okay, we're cooked. Guys, we're cooked. Okay. We're cooked. Yeah. America's cooked. America's cooked. This guy's cooked. This is cooked. We're cooked. Okay, we're cooked. This is it. We're cooked. This is it. Yeah. Nah, we can't fix this. We can't uncook this. It's over.
W Big Chungus, keep doing the Lord work.
Yo, thank you so much for the $5, Bowie. Thank you so much. Yo, I have 87 people watching on Twitter right now, but I don't know how much of them are real. Like, I just don't know. There's just no way for me to tell, right? Like, I hope that there are 87 real people watching me, but I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure what counts on Twitter's end. Because if it's true that it's like 87 people like watching me on Twitter, like let's just assume none of them are bots, okay? Then I would have over 300 concurrent watchers right now, which is crazy. Okay, that's insane. That's insane. But you know, because Kick also has like 43 watchers, DG has 50 watchers. If you add everything up, that's like 350-ish in total, which is crazy. But
it's potentially the case that Republicans will never be elected ever again to the presidency and stuff like that. And I think that this type of commentary, it became so widespread and mainstream in American society for 15 to 20 plus years. I think it led to this kind of sense on the right and the MAGA right that essentially the change in demographics in the society, the mass migration that was happening would result, and this mass cultural change that is happening, the cultural dislocation associated with mass demographic change, is going to lead eventually to the right just forever basically being locked out of power in America. The mass cultural changes, they're going to be oppressed, etc. And I think...
And this is why I voted for Proposition 50, okay? It's just to spite Drew Pavlo directly, all right? The reason why I vote for Proposition 50, okay, here in glorious golden state of California, is to spite people like Drew Pavlo directly, because fuck him. That's why.
Essentially, this is the kind of thing that is underlying all this kind of existentialist language on the Trump right, the fear that they have, the sense of threat they have. I think a lot of these people genuinely think that they are these people talking in the lead up to the election, like, if we don't win, we're going to be killed.
Yeah, dead Twitter
and stuff
theory.
like that. And Elon would talk about, like, if Trump doesn't win, I'm going to be killed and stuff like that. I think.
Good. Okay, we're done. We're done, right?
Because of the mass cultural and demographic changes.
Oh, never mind. He's back. Fuck.
Okay. Do you have a response to that, Erdic?
And one last thing, I would say that I think the problem is that over 15 plus years, there's been so much, it's so widespread in democratic politics and left-wing politics in America to engage in that kind of demographic triumphalism and to talk about the fact that, like, the Republicans are going to become a minority because white people are going to become a minority and all this stuff. And then also just, you see the broader permission environment created by left-wing content.
My name is Drew Pablo. I'm an Australian worried about the white demographic in the United States. And this is why people can't take Australians seriously. It's people like Drew Pablo who make a bad name for Australia, okay?
Creators and the left-wing culture, because I think we would all agree that it does seem that sort of like progressive culture is dominant in America, even though the right is in power. So these people see that there's a dominant culture, and a widespread thing inside this sort of dominant culture is the idea that political violence against, like, sort of like fascists and Nazis is permissible. And then they identify a lot of MAGA people and a lot of right-wingers as that, and therefore could sort of create this permission structure to violence against right-wingers. So I guess what I'm saying here is...
Can I close this out?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can take off the tweet now. So I'm just trying to explain what I think is the sort of... this is why I think there is this kind of violent language on the right, and why they feel this existential sense of panic and stuff like that. And I think my whole point is that I think over the past decade, the left have created a pretty toxic cultural environment which has sort of made conservatives panic. And I think that is why they see politics in such existential terms now.
Sure. I guess I view this panic in the way that I view the satanic panic, right? I believe that there is this genuine panic, and I believe that it is almost entirely propagandized and created. I do not believe it is like born in some sort of reality. First and foremost, I don't think most conservatives are actually obsessed with the white majority, right? They're obsessed with the culture majority. Most conservatives, well, you listed white majority in your tweet, right?
I think they conflate it, is my point.
I think racists conflate it for sure.
I think a lot of Republicans conflate it.
I think racist Republicans definitely conflate it for sure.
I think a lot of people, like, even if they wouldn't explicitly say white majority, they psychologically feel that white culture is under threat.
I agree. I just think that this is white preferentialism. Like, I agree. I think that a lot of people really prefer white culture all the time, right? And I would agree that dominantly white culture...
Except the fact that black culture just completely trounces on white culture, and we all know it, and we're pretending as if that's not the case. Why are we pretending it's not the case that black culture just fucking destroys white culture in terms of influence, like proportional to like population size, like per capita kind of, look at it? Like, why are we pretending as if like black culture doesn't completely obliviate, okay, beyond recognition, white culture in terms of universal appeal? Black culture is a subgenre of white culture. Yeah, we count slavery, sure, I guess.
Is the hegemon of America, right? When people say, like, well, what's white culture? It's like kind of American hegemonic
by
culture.
Association,
but the
slavery,
issue is that,
I guess.
Like, it's
I mean,
less and less white, which I think
Jesus.
has been good. In fact, the more that we've like made it less white, it's been better. The problem is that we keep painting white faces on it, and increasingly we've started going, maybe we don't need to paint white faces on it, right? What's one of the
Could you
major...
explain that a bit further?
Yes, I'm going to give you an example.
Let's see. Everybody is into the NBA. Everybody is into hip hop. Everyone is into jazz. Everybody is into like literally anything. I don't fucking know, dude. Okay. Per capita. Okay, let's just talk about per capita. Okay, per capita. Talk about per capita. Okay, talking about per capita. All right, because we know that there's more white people. All right. Technically, okay. So it's unfair if we're comparing overall, right?
Yeah, but the thing where you said it's a good thing for it to be less white and stuff like that. Like, I want to understand, like, what is the sort of psychological drive that makes you think that?
I think lots of cultures have a lot to offer and have always done.
Bro, I am just saying, 13% of the population contribute to 40% of the culture, okay? 13% of the population contribute to 30 to 40% of the culture, really, or something like that in the United States. Yeah, that's crazy.
So historically, and our society, Western democracy, has been very good at gobbling up other cultures' things.
I'm just saying,
and then we just
okay.
pretend that they're now, we won't call them white things, we just call them the hegemon.
We all know
but
it.
we paint a white face on it, typically when we want a representative of that thing. Let me give an example. I think one of the major strongest exports of American culture is our music. I think American music is at the forefront. I think it's leading all the way. K-pop is okay, but it's kind of all the same. Okay, it's fine, but it's also all the same. Hip hop and jazz revolutionized everything.
The first two things that she names is hip hop and jazz. Boom. Kaboom.
The issue is that when you look back at what blew up all this style of music, the king of pop was Elvis Presley, a white guy who learned from black people how to do music and then did black people music. And then suddenly we loved it because it had a white face on it, right? And nobody wants to call that white culture, although I would say the left is getting more honest about being like, yeah, that's like white people just...
Pre-watched. Okay, what can I say? I'm just always correct. I give the only correct opinions, okay? Erudite fucking mind traveled into the future, saw my takes, went back to the past to do this debate, okay? Boom.
stealing culture and then not getting any credit where credit's due. I prefer giving credit where credit's due. I actually am totally fine with white people doing rap and black people doing rap, but also acknowledging that like most pop culture and hip hop come from black culture, right? And we stole it and put white faces on it. And so this is a good example of something that I think the left has done a really good job. And there is legitimacy to the progressive frustration of the constant ransacking of cultural elements that are good and then painting a white face on it and being like, we're not being racist. It's just like, you know, we're just the melting pot. And it's like, if it's the melting pot, it should have multiple colors because it seems like we appreciate multiple colors in our society now, which I think is a good thing.
Erudite.
And so I do think that there is this white preferentialism. Sorry?
Erudite, the king of pop is Michael Jackson. I don't know.
Sorry, whatever they called him.
Okay,
the
Michael
king of rock.
Jackson was the king of pop. Elvis Presley was the king of rock. I just want to make
There
that
you go,
really
sure.
clear. And if you
Okay.
thought you got death threats before,
Yikes, Canadian. Oh my god. Canadian detected.
just wait till the K-pop stands.
I'm telling
Read this, see this thing. K-pop is okay.
K-pop stands are so sweet. They're not going to give me. K-pop stands
Okay,
are like
I
the
don't know
sweetest,
about that.
cutest little
Sorry,
guys.
I just had to interject a little bit, but go ahead.
What? What is that supposed to mean?
Yeah, you're right. Sorry. Just to apologize. Grassroots Hegemon gave me $100, by the way. Thank you, Grassroots Hegemons. Yeah, I will pause everything to thank you for the $100, okay? Thank you so
Bro's
much.
spending today, but go ahead, yeah.
So sorry, King of Rock. I apologize for calling that. The
Simp.
issue is that the point that I was making is still the same, that he took black music and black culture and we painted it white and then we called it good. When the music wasn't like, it wasn't transcendental because of Elvis, he was taking what he learned from the black culture around him. So I apologize for calling it King of Pop. It's King of Rock. I apologize. So that is a good example of something that I think the left has done a really good job on, is taking these things that we used to need to whiteify so that the general population could like it. And we've gone, that's probably not good that we need to whiteify these things. Like if we're taking it from Chinese culture, and more often Chinese people are good at these things, why would we be opposed to having a Chinese person lauding this? And the problem is that the left also went in really retarded ways, where it was like, okay, well now Little Mermaid has to be black because, I don't know, for whatever fucking reason. And it's like, there are stories with princesses that we can make that's just organic and have a black person in it. Like there's A24 has been including multi-racial groups into their literature and into their like media for a long time organically without this ham-fisted way. And so...
Can Michael Jackson still say the N-word? Sure. Anybody can say the N-word, including me, all the time.
Fuck, I feel like I'm losing the point of like where I'm going with this.
You're talking about
These-
how white people had taken a lot of culture from different groups and things like that.
Yeah, right, to talk about the Great Replacement. So I'm totally understandable when people are concerned about our culture being usurped because they hear that Sharia laws, there might be some Sharia courts in the UK. And they're like, well, I don't want Sharia courts, right? The issue to me happens when propagandizing happens, where we insist that this is happening en masse when it's not. And when we insist that the changes that are happening are bad when they are not, right? I think at one point, you in your post with Tali, in your talk with Tali and Wick, you were talking about Elon Omar, whatever her name is, the congresswoman.
Oh,
She
Ilhan
made
Omar,
some-
yeah.
She made some post about Allah, talking about Allah and how great Allah is or whatever.
She said, may Allah awaken the world to the hypnotization of Israel or something like that.
Sure. Okay. So she made some like anti-Israel and Muslim post.
my god.
I don't have an issue with this. You seem to have a really big issue. It would be no different to me, to be frank, than if I saw a Christian talking about the genocide of Darfur even if you disagree that the genocide of Darfur was happening, saying, may God awaken people to the brutalities of Darfur. I don't see any of this as different other than I disagree with her to some degree. Well, wait, not as much on Israel now, but definitely probably at the time she posted it. And I don't believe in Allah because I'm not Muslim.
Can I say one thing? So I wanted to respond to your overall point, but let's just go to that Ilhan Omar thing quickly. So that exact statement that she made, she said, Israel has hypnotized the world, may Allah awaken the people. Do you think that statement is compatible with, mainstream American culture as it has existed for the past 200, 300 years?
Like white hegemonic culture, no. I just don't think that that's bad. Freedom of like the principle of America, yes. The like white hegemonic culture, no. But like,
but it's like, is it a
freedom
good
of
thing?
religion? Yes.
I mean, yeah,
yes. It's a very good thing.
problem.
It is very good.
Yes, yes, I agree with you. I agree. Okay, I agree with you that freedom of religion is good. I've got no problem with people being moderate, normal Muslims. All I'm saying though is it a good thing for American culture and society that you now have Congress people who will literally who are basically Islamists from Somalia, who then say, may Allah awaken the people to Israel, hypnotizing the world. Like, is that a good thing for American culture? How has America improved as a result of that? I don't think it is, because I look at her statement.
This is a different. This is different.
I look at her statement, because all I'm saying is I look at that statement, and to me it looks like she's taking the sort of clannish anti-Semitism of the sort of Arab/Muslim world, and she's importing it to America. And I look at that, I'm like, is that a good thing for America? I don't necessarily see it as that. It's quite. It's certainly a foreign alien cultural thing, and is it a positive thing? I don't know.
I guess like. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, if she's Muslim. And isn't she Somalian now?
Yeah, she's a Somalian, and she's an Islamist because she's pretty hardcore.
Yeah, she's Muslim.
Her political,
Muslim.
yeah.
So I think it is incredible that in
America, I don't think she's a moderate Muslim. Is my point.
I have no idea her religious.
Oh, I'm being told that apparently it's like how many people clicked. Like somebody how many people clicked on my stream. It's not a question apparently of like how many concurrent viewers, is how many people clicked on my stream. That's fucking stupid. That's fucking retarded, dude. That's actually fucking retarded. I don't know why Elon Musk would do it like that. Maybe it's to assuage his fucking ego or something, but that's what I thought, okay? There's no fucking way, unannounced, for me to start up an X stream in the middle of nowhere for me to be getting that many concurrent viewers. There's no way, okay? So yeah. Do we even have to guess? Nah, okay, yeah, it's for his fucking ego. So stupid. So fucking moronic. Oh my god, it's so stupid.
The degree of her.
So it just tells me nothing. It literally tells me nothing. I'm sorry. It like that doesn't tell me anything. I just don't know what my concurrent is. I guess I just don't know.
Religious affiliation.
Not even for my side?
Absolutely wonderful thing in America that you can have a Muslim woman get elected. Yes, because I believe in freedom of religion.
Got no problem with Muslim women being elected.
Problem with her saying stupid shit that I disagree with.
Okay.
No.
I've got no problem with Muslim people being elected so long as they have the same culture as the majority.
How many people scroll past it? That's so retarded.
Israel has hypnotized the world. May Allah awaken the people. She's basically got political Islamist views.
I can find.
How is that important?
Hold on. I can find plenty.
I will say, okay, you can kind of extrapolate a little bit. Like for example, right? Every single one of my YouTube streams get at least 1,000 views these days, right? So you can kind of guess how many people were watching it concurrently, but this is different for every single type of audience, okay? So I get, just saying from me, okay, I get 150 to 200 concurrent viewers at least every stream. And every stream I get at least 1,300 views per live stream, okay? So if you try to extrapolate that to Twitter, okay? There's probably 5 to 10 people there right now, okay? That's what I'm guessing, okay? But yeah.
Of different politicians making statements that are way worse than that.
How much money do you make per stream, Foodshops? It could drastically vary. Like some days I could make... Like some days I could be just making like fucking $8, $10 per stream. But then some other days I could be making like 300. I don't know. On average, 100. On average, I would say probably 100 per stream. And that's not counting ad revenue. If we count in ad revenue in total from the videos and the live streaming, It's a lot more. That's all I'll say. Okay.
Right? Who was a
Oh, that doesn't even count in the kick donations. Okay.
there was a Florida representative recently who was praising.
You're talking about
Putin,
Randy Fine. You're talking
right?
about Randy Fine.
No, well, maybe
Yeah.
that too, but it was a
He's a
lady.
Florida congressman who's pretty crazy.
There's a lady as well who was praising Putin for his comments on the Nobel Peace Prize with regards to Trump, like just thanking the Kremlin outright. Like, I think that's way worse for American hegemonic culture than
That's
anything
bad too.
Ilhan Omar has said. That's way worse.
I mean,
way more damaging.
that sounds bad too. Because, but my point is, you're within your own domestic culture. You're always going to have your own variant of crazies. But it's also a choice to import people who also have crazy views on top of that.
What's a lot more like 4 digits? My monthly salary is 4 digits. It is. Yeah, it's pretty good, actually.
Is my point, right?
First of all, I reject the language of importing because it sounds like there's some intentional movement to bring in Islam into America, which is just the amount of Islamophobia in here. Which, to be clear, I just want to be clear, I'm kind of like Sam Harris. I really don't like Islam, just generally as religion. And I love that we have a Western democracy that will protect their rights to have their religion, so long as they don't impose it on other people, right? And that's my problem with the fundamentalist Islam is the politicization of it often.
In what ways has Ilhan Omar tried to impose Islam on her?
Okay,
constituency?
can I go with it? Okay, Ilhan Omar can't do that right now because she's one person.
But she's a
The point that I
congressman,
made-
representative of her
okay,
district.
let-
What bills has she even proposed?
Okay, dude, let me try to go back to what I was saying, right? I said this
Sure, but
earlier
can
in
you
the
answer that
stream.
question real quick?
Yeah, I am. This is my answer to your question. Right?
Okay.
I brought this up earlier in the stream. You look at the example of the UK. The Muslim population in the UK is 7%. Already, you have some of the most assimilated, most high-profile British Muslims. They responded to the synagogue stabbing attack the other day, the terrible terror attack, by basically.
Why don't you stream on Twitch? What, because of the amount of Destiny that I watch? It would be pretty fucking annoying to turn off my stream and turn on my stream and turn off my stream and turn on stream. I don't know.
And basically making apology for Islamic terrorism. So this is where I come back to demographics and stuff like that. Ilhan Omar, she has no cultural power really to change anything because I don't even know what the population dynamics in America are.
She's a congresswoman. If anyone has power,
I know,
she does.
but okay, this is my point, right? Islam is like what, 2% of the population in America, 1%.
I don't know the.
Do you think? I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. It's a very small number. I know in the US, it's much smaller than Europe. Do you think, for example, if for example, America's population became eventually 20% Muslim, do you think Ilhan Omar and people like that would become more radical? Would feel like they have?
Not necessarily, no, because there are multiple periods of like Islam being very moderate and reasonable, right? The problem that you run into. Oh, I think he's frozen. Sorry.
Uh-oh.
I might have interrupted you, but I thought you would finish speaking.
Oh yeah, we thought you were done, but you just your connection, man. I'm sorry, we didn't mean to.
Oh no, all good. Sorry.
I was going to respond to you about the 20%. Yeah, finish your thought, and then
finish your thought. Then yeah.
My problem is this, right? In all my in what I have been able to observe and study, everywhere, like the British historian Tom Holland makes this point. He says there is no concept of secularism within Islam. Like it is pretty much a totalizing faith. There has not been that kind of Christian Reformation that we went through in the West, where Christianity was taken out of a large part of the public sphere and stuff like that. And so this is my problem, right? And this is what I'm saying. Do you think the culture would change if there were mass demographic shifts and there is no real concept of secularism within this religion? And even the moderate types that I have seen was in Britain. The moderate types I saw were still making excuses for horrible Islamic terror attacks.
Okay, I'm bored now. Dude, all right, wait. I'm gonna save this link. I think I would rather watch J-Stock than this, if it doesn't get more exciting. Oh my lord. It's just yap. Boring. Useless. Yap. Wait. Is there a concept of secularism in the Bible? Wait.
It is about Brown. It is.
No,
right?
No, but the reason I oppose your
is built on the principle of naturalized and born citizens.
Dearborn, just type in Dearborn on Memory TV, and then there's all these translations of Islamic extremist rhetoric in Dearborn. Dearborn, Michigan Islamic scholar Usama.
Grumpy little girl when I was around Christians, and I was an asshole to Christians, and I was always criticizing them.
Erudite does make a lot of good points. It's difficult. I'm in a difficult position because I genuinely am. I am listening. I am listening. I am.
I know.
And look,
I mean this genuinely. I think it takes a lot
it's-
for you to come on here and go,
Oh my god. Oh wow, I can't believe how much of a reasonable and civil conversation we've had. If only there were more civil and reasonable conversations in the future between both sides. Almost as if we haven't tried that for the last fucking who knows how much. Oh my god, kill me. Okay. Just useless. It's useless. Alright, guys. I'm rating you guys into non-fun, okay? Give him love. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys. And yeah. That's really about it. Make sure to join my Discord server, discord.gg/foodshops. If you want to be a part of my community, which is awesome. My community is the best fucking community on planet Earth, okay? But yeah, all right. That's really about it. Thank you guys so much. Bye. See you. Farewell. Okay. Okay. Bye.